The fact that someone scribbled this on my face is unbelievable. What the heck happened to your face? After leaving for the company's New Year's celebration, my oldest daughter returned in 15 minutes. When she got home, she immediately ran into the restroom. The words, "useless family's eldest daughter," were written on her face when I looked to see what was wrong. The text appeared to have been created using a permanent marker. She hastily scrubbed her face with water, but the letters remained unfazed. She was clearly crying, despite her moist cheeks. Like a hot stone thrown into water, my rage reached a boiling peak in an instant. I took out my phone and called right then. "Is Mr. Smith here? Come on over to my house now. I'll never be able to forgive someone for making fun of my daughter in this way. They will do everything it takes to put this right. Ryan is my name. I work as a motorcycle technician and am 49 years old. My daughters are Rachel and Melissa. When Melissa was in 2nd grade, their mother and I were divorced. Why? I'd rather not recall the specifics of how she fled with another man. Normally, custody disputes are very serious, but my ex-wife just responded, 'Take them.' I shot back at her when she said that, saying, 'Of course. Why would anyone abandon Rachel and Melissa to accompany you? Never again reveal your face here.' I shouted so loud that 5 homes down filed a noise complaint. When I told her she wouldn't see the children again after the divorce, she simply said, 'That's fine with me.' That one truly infuriated me. My hands squeezed beneath the table. Naturally, I was ostensibly an adult at the time, in my mid-30s. To keep myself from going totally crazy, I gave myself a thigh smack. I haven't spoken to her at all since. Nor have the girls seen her. Rachel was still in kindergarten at the time, and Melissa was in the 2nd grade. It surprised me that kids didn't cry and plead, 'I want to see Mom,' as I had assumed. I calmly and succinctly informed them that Mom had done something wrong and had gone because I knew I had to properly explain things to them. They appeared rather depressed at first, but then they appeared to comprehend. They completely ceased inquiring about her. The issue with my ex-wife was resolved, but parenting the daughters presented its own set of difficulties. "I got you a new clothing, Melissa. Put this on today." "What is this?" "It's nasty." "No way." "Don't complain when I went out of my way to buy it." "I'm not interested. I'm dressed differently." Melissa began searching through her dresser after throwing the new clothes on the floor. Mentally hating myself for making such a poor decision, I gathered up the clothing off the floor. Then I got a follow-up from Rachel. "Your sandwiches don't look cute, Dad. Create a lovely lunchbox with a character motive for me." What? A lunchbox with a lovely character theme. I don't need to do that in the mornings because I'm already busy enough. But the lunches of all the others are adorable. I'd want a lunchbox with a fun character motive. Yes, I understand. Next time, I'll make one. Just put up with the dull adult lunch for today, shall we? After examining the lunchbox's contents, I sighed and closed the lid when I saw that it was plainly manufactured by a middle-aged man and had no color. I then placed it in the bag of my younger daughter. "Dad, can you braid my hair?" At that point, I was completely out of my depth. I didn't have the slightest clue about the world of girls. When our life together started, I struggled a lot with raising my daughters. But I was the one who chose to take care of them. I couldn't complain about something like this. I tightened my resolve and tackled each problem one by one. "Both of you, we're going shopping. Get ready." As soon as I called out, the girls eagerly began preparing to go out. When it came to things like clothes or stationery, things they would use, I always made sure to let them pick for themselves. It was never a quick decision. They'd spend ages saying, "Not this one, maybe that one," or "Which one's better, this or that?" When I was a kid, I would just pick things quickly, so I couldn't help but think, they're all pretty much the same, aren't they? But I guess this is one of the differences between boys and girls. Wait, you cut the seaweed with scissors. And this precisely. My youngest had begged me to make her a character-themed lunchbox, so I bought a cookbook and started with the simple designs. The book said, easy, but it was anything but that. There I was, cutting seaweed into thin strips to make the character's mouth. The work was so meticulous that, without realizing it, my entire body moved with the scissors, twisting and turning to match the seaweed. It felt like I was some kind of master paper-cutting artist. At first, I was hopeless, and the girls booed me for my efforts. But with time and practice, the complaints stopped. I learned how to do hairstyling from watching YouTube videos. At first, my braids were loose and messy, drawing plenty of criticism. But eventually, I got the hang of it, and the complaints disappeared. After about a year, I could handle anything: twin braids, braided buns, side braids into ponytails, or even combining braids with trendy bubble hair. I was ready for anything. Despite all the ups and downs, I thought I was doing pretty well with my daughters. But all of this could be solved with sheer effort. The real challenge was the practical side of things: rent, utilities, groceries, and Melissa's school fees. Late at night, after the girls had gone to bed, I would sit at the living room table staring at the numbers. I always ended up sighing in defeat. I worked as a motorcycle mechanic at a small shop, and the pay wasn't great. We weren't starving, but as the girls grew up, the cost of living and their school expenses piled up, making life harder little by little. Still, I didn't want my daughters to worry about anything. I was determined to handle it all myself. But apparently, they could see right through me. Here, Dad. Huh. What's this? Money? Did I lend you something? No, it's my pay from my part-time job. Your first paycheck, and you're trying to spoil me? Keep it. You earned that money. Use it for yourself. That's not it. It's for the family budget. Wait, for the family budget? You've done so much for us, like buying clothes and paying for school. And you've made so many sacrifices, haven't you? Sacrifices? It's not like that. After work, you always come straight home. On weekends, you take us shopping. You always put Rachel and me first. You never take time for yourself. And even your clothes come from thrift stores. They were $5 or $10 at most. Wow, you've been paying attention to all that. Rachel's in middle school now, and will need more money for things soon. This is for her too. Don't worry about it. All I need is a little pocket money to grab sweets with my friends after school. I see. Thanks, Melissa. I was so touched by her thoughtfulness that I accepted the money with gratitude. Kids are far more mature than parents think. Sometimes, they even notice the struggles their parents try to hide. In reality, they pretend not to notice, but they're the ones who keep the secrets. At this rate, I don't know who the parent and the adult are here. From that day on, my eldest daughter would keep only about $100 of her paycheck for herself and contribute the rest to the household. When my youngest started high school, she began working part-time too, doing the same thing as her sister. At that moment, I couldn't help but think, are these really my kids? My incredibly responsible eldest daughter got a job at a sewing factory after graduating high school. Are you going to make clothes? Sis, that's so cool. Good for you. You always said you wanted to work in fashion. Well, I really wanted to join the apparel company near the factory, but a lot of places like that only hire college graduates. Still, the factory works with that company, so in a way, my wish came true. That apparel company. Yeah, I remember it. It's right near where you work. Oh, you know about it, Dad. Well, this town's like my backyard, of course. You were the former delinquent. You used to tear through the streets on your bike, huh? Don't call me a delinquent. It's embarrassing. That's your dark past, huh? Or maybe these last few years are your real dark past. What do you mean by that? Wouldn't it be embarrassing if your old buddy found out you make character-themed lunchboxes and braid hair now? Too bad. Not embarrassed at all. No one stays a delinquent forever. I'm sure they'd just say you're doing a great job. Well, that's boring. My youngest wasn't wrong. I was a delinquent back in the day, and it is a dark chapter of my life. In high school, I often skipped classes, hung out with friends, rode my scooter all night, and got into fights. I even smashed up a guy's scooter once with some buddies when he pissed me off. Naturally, the police picked me up plenty of times. Nothing ever came of it, but the officers in the Community Safety Division would shoo me out every time. Even now, when I go to the station to renew my license, I can't help but feel a little humbled around them. Still, delinquent logic was strange. After fighting someone, we often ended up becoming friends. The guy whose scooter I destroyed became one of my closest friends, and we still keep in touch. Looking back, I think all those fights and reckless acts were just our way of blowing off steam and bonding. But as an adult, when I remember how cocky I was back then, I get so embarrassed that my face feels hotter than a motorcycle engine after a long ride. Dad, your face is red. Thinking about your dark past. Shut up and leave me alone. Somehow, the useless kid I used to be managed to graduate, get a job, work hard, experience marriage and divorce, and live peacefully now with my 2 daughters. Back then, I never imagined I'd have such a good future ahead of me. But this peaceful life with my daughters was about to be shaken up just a little. 3 years after Melissa started working, she faced a major turning point. One evening, as the 3 of us were having dinner, she started talking about her day at work. This time, though, it wasn't her usual small talk. Hey, listen. Today I went to deliver some samples with a senior coworker to the apparel company. It wasn't supposed to happen until later, but they asked us to bring them over for a photo shoot they were doing for their online shop. Oh, right. That company has its own brand, too. Dad, you really know your stuff. Well, it's one of the bigger local companies. Did something happen with the samples? Well, not really trouble. More like a surprise. While we were there, we got to watch the photo shoot, and out of nowhere, the photographer asked me, "Do you want to model for us?" Wait, what? Did you actually model? Yeah, but just for a tiny spot at the bottom of the page. And since they're one of our clients, I couldn't really say no. And then what? Did they beg you to become their exclusive model? Don't be ridiculous. Do you think it's that easy? Professional models take lessons and maintain their bodies to perfection. There's no way someone like me could just jump in. Well, that's no fun. The real thing is, while I was modeling, they asked for my thoughts on the clothes, like what do you think of the design, and how does it feel to wear it? Since I've been making clothes for 3 years, I talked about the stitching, the fit around the neckline and sleeves, and how the construction felt. I didn't focus on the design, just how the clothes were made. It turns out one of the higher-ups from the company was there. After hearing me, they said, "Why don't you come work for us and help design our clothes?" Wait, they're trying to recruit you? That's amazing. Yeah, but I'm not sure. Why not? Didn't you say you wanted to work there? Now that I'm actually thinking about working there, I'm worried. Like, can I really do the job well? And it's hard to leave the company I've been with for 3 years. Staying at one company for a long time isn't always the best choice, you know. If you've got an opportunity like this, why not take it? Maybe. Also, they said they'd like me to model occasionally too. So, sis, I don't think you realize how that sounds. It's just bragging. I'm not bragging, I swear. I know. You're just so earnest and a little clueless sometimes. You could learn a thing or two from Melissa, you know. You're way too hyper. Can we call it cheerfully carefree, please? With my youngest around, conversations always went off track. In the end, Melissa thought things through and decided to change jobs. About 3 months later, she transferred from the sewing factory to the apparel company she had always wanted to join. She was finally where she dreamed of being, and with kind coworkers, Melissa seemed happier than ever. A year passed peacefully. It was clear she was enjoying herself more and more. Part of it was because she was settling into her new role, but there seemed to be another reason. Hey, listen. A new batch of graduates started today, and one of them, Madison, is actually the daughter of the CEO, Mr. Smith. Oh, so she's the same age as you. Yeah, there were 3 new employees, but the other 2 are guys, so Madison seemed a little nervous. She's in sales, and I'm in planning, but we had a chance to chat. Once she found out we were the same age, she seemed relieved, and we really hit it off. You didn't tell her any of our broke stories, did you? Of course I did. Like how you spent 30 minutes debating whether to buy a $5 thrift store shirt. That story works great as an icebreaker. Did you tell Mr. Smith's daughter something like that? Oops, I told her that my whole family has a high school diploma or something. Also, I told her about how you kept regrowing pea shoots until they rotted and how devastated you were when that happened. Oh, come on, that's embarrassing. I was mortified. I felt like my face might shoot flames like a backfiring motorcycle muffler. But I'd do anything for my daughters, even if it meant a little embarrassment. I just wished she'd let me know who she was sharing these stories with next time. After that, Melissa started talking about Madison more often. Hey, look at this. Madison and I modeled for the online shop the other day. Here's the picture. During dinner, Melissa beamed as she showed us her phone. On the screen was a version of my daughter I barely recognized. It's incredible how much women can transform with the right clothes and makeup. I had mixed feelings about it. Is Mr. Smith's daughter in the pictures too? Are you curious, Dad? Of course. I want to know what kind of person my daughter's getting close to. Let's see. Ah, here she is. Huh. So this is her. Melissa's photo was higher up on the page and a little bigger. Though I'm at the bottom of the page too. And when you say the picture is big, you mean just a tiny bit, right? I'm not a real model, so it's fine as it is. That might be fine for you. But what about Madison? She's the CEO's daughter, right? Shouldn't her picture be at the top, front, and center? Doesn't she complain? You're so biased against Mr. Smith's family. As Melissa and Rachel continued chatting, I stared at the phone screen. Seeing my daughter all grown up made me realize just how much time had passed. I was getting older. Ever since Madison joined the company, Melissa seemed to enjoy her job even more. But before long, her cheerful demeanor began to cloud. Hey, I need to tell you something. I made a huge mistake today. That's unusual. What happened? Well, we ordered materials to make samples at the sewing factory, but I think I messed up the order quantity. How bad is it? We only needed 5 meters of fabric, but 500 meters arrived. Hey, that's off by a factor of 100. How did you mess that up so badly? I think I messed up when I entered the order into the system. Ah, that whole clicky-clack input thing, huh? So, what happened next? My senior contacted the supplier, and they agreed to take the returns. But still, I feel awful for causing trouble for everyone. Come on, Dad, this is your rare chance. Use your wealth of work experience to cheer her up, you know. Well, here's the thing. As long as humans are involved, human error is unavoidable. Sure, you can double-check all you want and reduce mistakes as much as possible, but you'll never eliminate them completely. That means you need to know where to compromise, or nothing will ever get done. That doesn't mean you're cutting corners. It means balancing efficiency and results. So stop thinking, I can't make mistakes. Perfectionism is one of the traits of people who can't get things done, and it just puts pressure on yourself. You normally work hard and do your job well, right? That's why seniors and bosses are there, to check your work or back you up when something goes wrong. The people who get ahead in their careers are the ones who know how to rely on others when they need to. Did you read that online? Hey, don't give me away. I thought I could show off as a father and a senior in the workforce, but my younger daughter completely shot me down. Still, When my older daughter heard us bickering, she managed a small smile. It wasn't what I had planned, but I guess I was able to help her out in my own way. Unfortunately, her smile was fleeting. She's always been overly serious, so the mistake continued to weigh on her. Her expression grew darker, and her energy seemed to drain away little by little. Hey, didn't the online shop get updated the other day? Wasn't there supposed to be a photo of you this time? I couldn't find it. Hat, really? Didn't you say you had a photo shoot? Yeah, there was a shoot, but if it's not up, I guess it got scrapped. Scrapped? Is that even a thing? Why would that happen? Who knows? That's something the digital division or corporate planning would decide. I wouldn't know. Huh. Well, Madison's picture is on the top of the page instead. It's bigger too. Maybe they thought it wouldn't look good to downplay the CEO's daughter. Maybe so. My older daughter's demeanor was noticeably off. I wanted to ask what was going on, but she's too serious for her own good. She'd probably keep quiet, thinking she shouldn't worry me. And if I pushed too hard, she'd just shut down even more. After 22 years as her dad, I knew better. I decided to wait for the right time. But I would come to regret that decision. One day, the front door slammed shut with a loud bang. Then I heard someone stomping hurriedly down the hallway. It wasn't the younger one because she was beside me. That meant my older daughter had stormed in and rushed to her room. Worried, my younger daughter and I headed toward her room. Hey, what's wrong? Nothing. Leave me alone. It was definitely not nothing. Even through the door, I could tell she was crying. Okay, Dad, you can go now. What? She's not going to talk with you here. This is a girls-only discussion. My younger daughter waved me off, shooing me away from the door. She was probably right. I'd only make things worse, so I returned to the living room and waited. About 30 minutes later, my younger daughter came back, her face unusually grim. It seemed she was able to hear what my older daughter had to say. However, it didn't seem like it was particularly good news. My sister's been getting harassed at work. What? Harassed by who and why? She doesn't know who or why, but maybe that order mix-up was done on purpose to cause trouble for her. Wait, so her photo disappearing from the online shop was also part of it. She can't say for sure, but today, while she was working on a modeling shoot, someone slashed up the clothes she was supposed to wear. Wait, what? They slashed her clothes. My sister couldn't say anything about it to anyone, so she just said, I really like it, so I'll buy it, and came home wearing the damaged sample clothes from the shoot. Hearing this from my younger daughter, anger started bubbling up inside me. My expression quickly reflected the frustration I felt. Seeing me, my younger daughter gave me a warning. You're thinking, all right, I'll march into that company and give Mr. Smith a piece of my mind, aren't you? Ah. She's not a child anymore. If you do that, you'll just embarrass her so much she'll want to quit. But what are we supposed to do? We can't just ignore this, can we? Well, the year-end holiday is coming up soon, right? So, she said she's going to use the break to think of a plan and figure out who's behind this. She'll deal with what she can, and if it doesn't work, she'll report it to the company. Isn't that a little too relaxed for something so serious? I'm worried too. But if that's what she wants, we should let her handle it. Wow, you're unusually cold about this. I'm not cold. I just don't want you to make things worse. Make things worse? Huh. I was firmly shut down by my younger daughter. She was right. My older daughter isn't a child anymore. Maybe this is something she needs to resolve herself. But no matter how grown up she is, she's still my kid. Even with all my doubts, I decided to follow my younger daughter's advice for now. After that, nothing happened before the year-end holiday. At least we could breathe easy until the new year. But the holidays flew by without any solutions or leads on the culprit. Work would soon begin again. Don't you think you should just talk to someone at the company about this? How can I bring that up first thing in the new year? It'll be fine. There's just a New Year party this morning, and work doesn't really start until tomorrow. Nobody would try anything with so many people around. Well, I guess that's true. But ignoring my worries, my older daughter left for the company's New Year party. Did my sister already head out? Yeah, she just left. Don't you start work tomorrow too? Yeah, and so do you, right? My big sister's the hardest worker in this house. She works for such a big company too. I think she's about to replace you as the breadwinner. Hey, cut it out. No need for the commentary. My younger daughter and I were planning to relax at home and prepare for work tomorrow. But our plans went off the rails about 15 minutes after my older daughter left. The front door suddenly slammed open with a loud bang. We heard hurried footsteps running down the hall. It sounded like my older daughter had returned and headed straight for the bathroom. Confused, my younger daughter and I followed her. When we reached the bathroom, we found my older daughter frantically splashing water on her face, water spraying all over the floor. Hey, what happened? Look what they wrote on my face. What the? What's on your face? Across her face were the words, "Useless family's eldest daughter." The letters were written in permanent marker, completely unmoved by all the scrubbing and water. Even though her face was wet, it was clear she was crying. Sis, who did this to you? It was Madison. She's the one behind everything. Wait, Mr. Smith's daughter. I ran to Madison and 2 male coworkers on the way to the New Year's party. After walking a bit, the men dragged me into an alley. Madison told me, "Your whole family only has high school diplomas, right? Let me give you a makeover." Then she wrote this on my face with a marker. Madison apparently wanted to be in the planning division but got placed in sales instead. She couldn't stand that someone like me, just a high school graduate, was working in planning. She was also jealous that, as a model, my photos were positioned better and appeared bigger than hers. I see. No, actually, I don't get it at all. How could someone do this just because they didn't like someone? What kind of upbringing did Mr. Smith's daughter have? This wasn't the time to worry about whether or not parents stepping in would be embarrassing for an adult. My anger boiled over instantly, like throwing a hot stone into cold water. I pulled out my phone right there and dialed Mr. Smith. "Come to my house right now." "What? You're heading to the company's New Year's party?" "I don't care. Get over here now and bring your daughter." Fueled by my momentum, I hung up the phone. My daughter stared at me, bewildered. "Wait, why do you have the phone number of my sister's company president? And what's with the yelling?" "We're talking about Mr. Smith, you know." "Don't worry. I'll make sure this is handled." "What do you mean? Is this one of those twists where Dad turns out to secretly be some big-shot company executive?" "Don't be ridiculous. Do you really think I could hide something like that from you all? Besides, it's not like company presidents or executives are just wandering around everywhere. I'm just a simple motorcycle mechanic at a small workshop." "Then how?" "I'll explain when he gets here. For now, Melissa, get that writing off your face." I tossed a towel to my eldest daughter and led my younger one back to the living room. About 30 minutes later, Mr. Smith arrived with his daughter in tow. "Hey, Dad, what is this? Stop pulling me. It hurts." "Ha. Melissa, is this Melissa's house?" It seemed Mr. Smith's daughter hadn't been told anything. To be fair, I had only said, "Come to my house," so there hadn't been much opportunity for explanation. Also, even over the phone, my anger must have been apparent, and he probably understood it was an emergency, which is why he hurriedly brought his daughter here. However, realizing that he had brought her to Melissa's house, Mr. Smith's daughter must have figured out that it had to do with the face-marking incident earlier. Let's cut to the chase. Take a look at this. What is this? I showed Mr. Smith the photo of my eldest daughter's face covered in humiliating writing. It must have been mortifying for her, But just this once, I needed her to endure it. Your daughter did this. The two male co-workers with her are accomplices. Huh? What are you talking about? You're really going to call me the culprit just because of some photo and that woman's claim? If you're going to accuse me, show me real evidence. Melissa, you're so pathetic, bringing your dad into this. Dad, this is nothing but petty jealousy because I'm the CEO's daughter. You're not going to believe this nonsense, are you? Let's just go. We need to get to the party. Mr. Smith's daughter fired off the typical provocation line, the go-to phrase for the guilty. Sure, in most cases, accusing someone requires solid proof, but this time it wasn't necessary. Listen here, Madison. How many times do I have to tell you not to get carried away just because you're the CEO's daughter? Dad, you're believing this guy over me. Ryan would never tell such a stupid lie. I trust him a hell of a lot more than I trust you and your selfish antics. Wait, Ryan? Mr. Smith, are you and my father friends? What? He hasn't told you. I thought it'd be hard to explain on my own. Well, I'll say it then. Your father and I have known each other since high school. We met. What was it? When you got my moped trashed. You picked a fight because you heard some hotshot kid from the next school was getting cocky. Geez, this is so embarrassing. Yeah, I was a jerk back then. I heard you were the son of a company's CEO and couldn't resist picking a fight. But you were the one rebelling, saying, I won't ride the rails my dad laid for me. Don't bring that up. That's mortifying. Fair is fair. We're even now. So, you're old friends from your rebellious days, but why keep it a secret? Melissa, you wanted to join Thomas's company, didn't you? I talked to him, asking if he could help. Somehow, he arranged the test for you. Wait, you mean when I first got offered the modeling job? Yeah. You remember they asked you questions about fashion design and other stuff. That was to test your knowledge. Turns out, you knew more than expected, and the examiner decided to hire you on the spot. I did notice some important-looking people were there. So that's what it was. Was the modeling part planned from the beginning? No, that was decided on site. I heard later they decided to offer you modeling jobs too. Even I was surprised. I figured if you knew your dad was pulling strings behind the scenes, you'd hate it. I was going to take this secret to the grave, but after what happened, I couldn't hold back and had to call Thomas here. I'm really sorry. Madison, apologize properly. I'm sorry. Mr. Smith placed his hand on his daughter's head, forcing her to bow, and bowed along with her. When Madison raised her head, her eyes were filled with resentment and hatred. It was clear her apology was just for show. Melissa, I'm sorry about earlier. I won't do anything like this again. So, can you forgive me? She apologized only for the writing on Melissa's face, pretending not to know anything about the other incidents. Melissa had seen Madison clearly during the face-marking incident. That's why we could still press her for answers like this. But we couldn't say for sure that she was responsible for the other harassment. If this was left unresolved, Madison might continue to harass Melissa. Moreover, she might resort to more underhanded harassment in the future to avoid getting caught. I started to regret summoning Mr. Smith so hastily. At that moment, my younger daughter stepped in to deliver a decisive blow. Madison, are you really going to brush this off as just the face incident? What else are you talking about? Melissa's photo disappeared from the online shop, and suddenly your photo started being featured more prominently. Didn't it? So what? It seems like you're awfully close with David, the head of the digital division. Hey, wait a second. David's married with kids. Madison's quite the fan. Fatal, isn't she? Apparently, she's been leading David on, making him think she's interested. He believes he just needs to push a little more, so he's been doing whatever she asks. That's what the rumors say anyway. But it is true that Melissa's photo disappeared and the online shop got edited. Don't you think this warrants an investigation, Mr. Smith? You're not even one of our employees. How do you know about rumors in our company? I work at the sewing factory where Melissa used to work. Sometimes I help deliver products to your company. When I noticed Melissa's photos had disappeared, I got curious and started asking around. That's when I heard the rumors. And now that we know you've been harassing Melissa, the pieces are starting to fit together. Rumors like that were going around the company. My sister's too serious to pay attention to gossip, and since the rumors involved her, no one would have told her directly. That's all speculation. Of course it is. That's why we're asking Mr. Smith to look into it. Her reaction was practically a confession, and my younger daughter had given me a great idea. Since Mr. Smith was already cooperating, why not have him investigate the other incidents too? Hey, Thomas, there's something else I'd like you to look into. What is it? Melissa once placed an order for 5 meters of fabric, but somehow it turned into 500 meters. It seemed like too simple of a mistake. I can't help but wonder if someone re-entered the order pretending to be her. Fabric orders, huh? We use the order system for that. If we ask the supplier, they should be able to tell us who accessed the system and when. Only a limited number of people handle orders, and Madison shouldn't be among them yet. So if we dig into it, we'll find something. Mr. Smith, my sister's clothes were slashed while she was working a modeling job. Could you investigate that too? There aren't cameras in the changing room, but the entrance is recorded. If the clothes were slashed while Melissa was out and someone else entered, we'll see it on the footage. When did this happen? At the end of the year. Security footage usually gets overwritten every 2 weeks. If it was at the end of the year, the footage should still be there. I'll call now and have the data preserved. Thank you. Madison stood there, her mouth hanging open in shock, looking utterly defeated. The investigations weren't complete yet, but at this point, it was clear Madison was the culprit behind everything. Sorry for dragging you out here so suddenly. No, I'm the one who should apologize. I'll make sure this is thoroughly investigated. Good. I'm counting on you, Melissa. Let's head to the New Year party. Ah, yes. Madison, you're going home. Okay. Mr. Smith and Melissa left for the New Year party while Madison was sent home. Madison was radiating a heavy, gloomy aura. It was far from the cheerful atmosphere that should mark the start of the new year. For Madison, it was likely the beginning of a very grim year. After Mr. Smith's investigation, it was confirmed that Madison was responsible for all of the harassment Melissa had suffered. Madison was forced to leave the company. Normally, firing an employee isn't so simple, but this was a matter between parent and child. Mr. Smith scolded her and told her to resign, which she did without much resistance. When I heard Mr. Smith had essentially fired his own daughter, I was surprised. However, Mr. Smith has always been the kind of person who swiftly judges what's right and what's wrong. It seems that even his own family is no exception. Along with Madison, David, the digital division head who helped her, and the 2 male employees were also disciplined. They weren't fired, but from what I hear, they've been left in an awkward and uncomfortable position. With the harassment finally behind her, Melissa began to regain her brightness bit by bit. And just like that, this ordeal was resolved. But then, some news I didn't want to hear made its way to me. Hey, Dad, did you hear Melissa's got a boyfriend? Who knows, maybe she'll be married in a couple of years. Bet you're feeling lonely, huh? Shut up. Stop saying that with that smug grin. I know that one day my daughters will get married. Ever since they were in high school, the money they've given me to help with the house has been carefully saved. I plan to get it all back when they get married, as starting a life together costs money after all. Still, I can't help but hope that day is just a little further into the future. You didn't even realize, stupid man. For a long time, you have been set up. When my fiancée, Emily, said this, I was speechless. Her icy look pierced me, and I could no longer see the soft smile she always gave me. Set up by who? I still don't get it. By me. Emily smiled icily at me and snuggled sensuously against Joe, our manager. I knew they were involved when I saw Joe put his arm around her waist. I lost my job and felt as like I had been thrown into the depths of sorrow after being betrayed by my darling fiancé. I was saved from this sadness by a stunning woman whose eyes gleamed like stars. Do you want to work for my company? John is my name. I work in the division of a large record label that is in charge of artist promotion. My promotion is directly impacted by the sales of the artists I oversee. As a result, everyone employs every tactic known to increase artist sales and become the greatest. Naturally, I also want to be the best. I had to start over when my allocated artist changed recently, and I was given responsibility for a new vocalist. But there was a reason I was so driven. John, how's work going? The reason was Emily, my fiancée, who was smiling as she sat next to me while I looked at my computer screen. I felt energized just by her smile. I'm doing well. What are you currently working on? My artist is releasing a new CD, so I'm planning the promotion strategy. I added, disclosing the specifics of the plan in confidence. Emily was my cherished fiancée, but I wouldn't tell anyone else. There was no issue because I could trust her more than anyone else. What do you think of this strategy? I think it's perfect. I was elated to receive Emily's permission, which I expected from my trustworthy fiancé. I was ecstatic to be recognized by Emily, but that happiness quickly faded a few days later. I came up with a promotion technique, and for some reason Joe was employing it. Joe was in charge of Autumn Front, a boy band that was quite successful across the country. His approach to promote their next song was precisely the same as mine. What's going on, Joe? Are you not employing the tactic I devised? What? Quit bringing up unfounded charges. John, do you have any evidence that you came up with it? Yes, I had no evidence. My computer's strategic data had disappeared without a trace. Joe insisted on showing me my ideas for advertising and marketing before I could. For months, this had been taking place. Despite my best efforts to leave no data behind, Joe managed to get it released. However, I had no evidence for any of it. I was speculating. I had no choice but to grit my teeth and bear the rage that was building within of me. After that rage followed me home, I believed I was only experiencing a headache the following day, but I ended up with a high temperature and had to miss work. My fever was fully gone by the following day, so I returned to work only to be dealt a severe blow. John, you're fired. That was the first thing I was told when I was taken into the manager's office shortly after work began. I was unable to think clearly since it was so shocking. Erased. However, why? Recently, you have been performing worse. Furthermore, even I am no longer able to cover for you due to your slight illness from yesterday. What? Yesterday, I wasn't pretending. Emily attested to that. Joe stated something, and Emily entered the room. Her icy look pierced me, and I could no longer see the soft smile she always gave me. Emily, why? Stupid man, you didn't even realize you've been set up all this time. Set up by who? You still don't understand. By me. I made arrangements for a new artist to replace yours, and I told Joe about your promotion plan. I planned it all out. Emily leaned sensuously against Joe and smiled icily at me. I knew they were involved when I saw Joe put his arm around her waist. I did like you when you came clean to me. You had a promising future and were competent, but you're too needy and work-focused. Do you really think I didn't see how desperate you were to be my favorite? Now it's over. I am no longer in need of you. I felt as though I had been thrown into the abyss of hopelessness. I don't recall much of the subsequent events. Following Joe's instructions, I packed my belongings, submitted my resignation, and walked out of the company in a haze. I walked the streets aimlessly since I didn't feel like coming home. Let me go. Suddenly, I heard a voice and instinctively turned to face it. 3 rugged-looking males were harassing a lovely woman. "Come on, just come with us to karaoke for a bit." "No, I don't want to." Anxiously, the woman glanced about. Our eyes didn't meet because I was still far away, but I felt compelled to assist her. She appeared thin, pallid, and extremely vulnerable. I couldn't just watch those men do whatever they wanted. "Hey, you guys." One of the men was abruptly slung to the ground at my feet as I stepped forward and yelled. I froze in disbelief. The flung man's eyes were rolled back, and he was unconscious. What the hell? When I looked up at the cry, I witnessed an incredible scene. With amazing vigor, the woman I believed to be weak was kicking one of the men in the stomach and then kneeing another in the mouth. Each of the men only needed one blow to be defeated. "Phew," she said, wiping the dirt from her hands. Her face instantly became pale as she turned to face me. "Did you see that?" With hesitation, I nodded and she came over to me. She grabbed my collar before I could react. Even as she glared at me, I couldn't help but notice how gorgeous her eyes were, gleaming like stars. "What's your name?" John." "John? I believe I've heard of that name before." "Well, whatever. You know what will happen if you tell anyone what you witnessed today, don't you?" Like a frog being gazed down at by a snake, all I could do was nod. She dropped my collar. "You look like you work in an office. Why are you carrying so many bags here at this hour?" She asked me this when I was ironing out the wrinkles in my shirt. My spirits plummeted once again as I reflected on what had transpired at work. "Hey, what took place? You look so depressed all of a sudden. Why not discuss something that's upsetting you? You might feel better after doing it." In my heartbroken state, I found myself opening up to her when she gently invited me to sit on a neighboring step and talk about my problems. I told her how my employer set me up, stole my ideas and my fiancé, and caused me to lose my job. As she listened, she scowled profoundly. "That woman is the worst. Wow. Before you departed, you ought to have punched them both." Like a boxer, she clenched her hand and thrust it forward. I couldn't resist giving her antics a sour laugh. "Yeah, maybe I should have, but at the time, I was too shocked to think straight." "I understand. It's understandable that you're hurt after everything you've been through." She seemed truly sorry for me as her face softened. My heart. Her sensitivity made my heart skip a beat. "Why don't you come work for my company, John?" "Your business." "Indeed. Oh, my card is here." First Rate Productions was written on her business card, which she gave to me. Samantha Thompson. Since you work in the same field, I assume you are familiar with First Rate Productions. Yes, without a doubt. What about Thompson? By any way, are you connected to the president? Yes, I am his daughter, she said, nodding rather bashfully. You appear capable, based on what I've heard, and you made an effort to assist me in spite of your grief. That type of integrity is what we need. Please think about it. I'll speak with my father about it. Samantha got to her feet and appeared to recall her earlier activities as she glanced around. She gave me a stern look as she turned back. You have to keep the events of today a secret, even if you join the company. Promise? She firmly shook her pinky finger after hooking it with mine. She appeared content and left with a smile after I nodded several times. I continued to feel the warmth of her touch as I gazed at my pinky finger. I wanted to see her again and collaborate with her as I gazed at it. I couldn't help but chuckle at myself for having these feelings toward another woman so soon after being dumped. Perhaps I wasn't all that different from Emily. Samantha must have done a nice deed for me when I reached out to First Rate Productions about joining, because my interview was set up really promptly. I was shocked to learn that President Mr. Thompson himself conducted the interview. You're John, then. Samantha explained you to me. Having someone like you join us excites us. Welcome on board. Despite my anxiety, I received a few words of encouragement at the end of the interview, and I was hired. Everything seemed too nice to be true. The following day, I went to work. Similar to my former employer, I was placed in the promotion department. A man moved forward as I introduced myself to the squad. My name is Mike. We will collaborate on the promotion of the same artist. It's good to meet you. Are we collaborating? Yes, in this manner. We divide the profits, but if one of us is absent, the other can cover. However, sales don't really matter to me. I was taken back and a little uneasy by his casual demeanor. Was this level of relaxation really acceptable? Wouldn't other workers outperform us? However, my concerns were unjustified. Mike's approach to sales was shared by all employees at the organization. In actuality, Mike was candidly asking other staff members for their opinions on his ideas for promotions. Won't your ideas be stolen if you do that? He chuckled at my worry. Nobody in this place would do that. We emphasize how much the musicians are adored by their fans. We are here to help the artist's fans, who are the ones who enable their careers. His remarks eased my anxiety. I made the decision to attempt presenting my ideas to the other staff members and soliciting their opinions. With excited expressions, everyone listened. What a great concept for a promotion. What a genius you are. Well, there are certain shortcomings. Like, while some staff members gave me advice, others commended my ideas. Compared to my former employer, working here was far more comfortable. I soon found myself anticipating my daily commute to work. Samantha was another factor that made going to work enjoyable for me. When Mike and I came back to the office one day after meeting with our designated artist, Samantha was waiting at the door. She was fumbling with some luggage that looked hefty. Let me carry those for you, Samantha. Mike smiled broadly as he ran up to her. Other male staff members then gathered nearby. No, I will transport them. No, I'll do it. I'm grateful. I'd appreciate it because I was having trouble carrying these large luggage. When Samantha gave Mike the packages and gave him a kind thank you, the male staff members' faces brightened. Samantha could easily carry the bags herself, but I could see she was acting. Samantha must have noticed that I had such thoughts shining on my face as she turned to face me. Follow me, she mouthed. My heart thumping, I followed her instructions. She showed me a storage area that was hardly used. She shut the door behind me and smashed her hand on the wall. She had to stare up at me from a distance since I was taller, but her eyes were anything but charming. I take it you haven't mentioned that day to anyone? I swear, I haven't. I answered calmly, trying to control my pounding heart. She gave me a doubtful glance, but after a while she took her hand from the wall. After taking something from her pocket, she put it in my hand. A tiny bag of vibrant sugar candy was inside. You've been putting in a lot of effort here. It's a prize. The multicolored candies glistened like little stars. I was so grateful that I clutched the bag gently, being cautious not to smash the sweets. Thank you. I will cherish these. Avoid being foolish. Consume them. We both chuckled when she corrected me right away. The new music video for the artist Mike and I were promoting went viral online after I had completely assimilated to the culture at first-rate productions. I came up with the idea for the video, and Mike and the artist worked together to make it. As a result of the favorable response, CDs and digital downloads took the top rank for the month. This is amazing. This is unlike anything I've ever seen. Mike grinned broadly and continued, "The artist and the fans are thrilled." I was also congratulated by other staff members. That's fantastic. We must not allow ourselves to lag behind at this time. I couldn't have done this at my former employer. The next thing that people considered if someone was successful was how to undermine them. I'm in a new position now, though, where people appreciate each other's accomplishments. And Samantha helped me find this location. I went to find Samantha because I wanted to tell her about this. In addition, Samantha handed me some highly regarded melons as a tiny token of appreciation for the chocolates she provided me. In the office, I located her. She came out into the hallway when I called her. Our artist's new song, Samantha, became the month's top tune. I owe it all to you for introducing me to the business. I truly appreciate it. Yes, I have heard. Congratulations. She seemed a little dejected, but she did accept the melons I handed her. Is something wrong, Samantha? No, John, nothing. I don't need your gratitude. You put in a lot of effort to reach the top. After saying that, she returned to the office. Her retreating form made me want to speak, but I was unable to do so. I had no idea how to respond to someone who appeared so dejected. A few days later, the meeting room was filled with all of the staff. According to what I've heard, Mr. Thompson has a big news. What is the big announcement, in your opinion? Mike and I muttered to one another, no idea. We straightened up when Mr. Thompson showed up. His face became serious after a few words of encouragement. Autumn Front, an idol group, recently asked us to produce their upcoming live performance. What? Autumn Front's eyes gleamed as he let out a loud cry. There was a commotion in the conference room as the other staff members were equally shocked. I was equally taken aback. However, isn't Autumn Front made by a different company? I asked, holding up my hand. Calmly, he nodded. Yes, John, your old business. However, we received the request. For our business, this is an extraordinary opportunity. I think Autumn Front will give us all of their upcoming works if we are successful. To make this a success, I need everyone's assistance. The staff rose in unison as he lowered his head. Naturally, we'll assist. To make this a success, let's all cooperate. I was caught up in the thrill. Samantha was equally excited. I noticed as I looked at her. I was relieved to see that she was no longer dejected. Even though we promised to work together, not everyone was able to participate in Autumn Front. Each of us had to oversee our own artists, who were also crucial co-workers. As a result, an Autumn Front special unit was established. I was selected to be the manager of promotions. Although I was unsure, Mike gave me encouragement. John, who else but you? Samantha was given the position as administrative manager, which delighted me. I was excited at the prospect of collaborating with her on such a significant endeavor. I went to gain Samantha's approval after preparing the budget for the live concert promotion. She had light rings under her eyes and was absorbed in her computer. Had you been getting enough sleep, Samantha? She let out a deep sigh when she looked up and discovered it was me. This position is crucial. I can't afford to take it easy. It's necessary to rest. Concentrate on your own work if you have time to worry about me. Her low-voiced and forceful comments forced me to close my mouth. I couldn't interfere further because Samantha and I were merely coworkers. I kept my worries about Samantha to myself and concentrated on my work. Days passed quickly, and the live concert day soon arrived. The venue was full, and the promotion was a huge success. I was given the responsibility of assisting with merchandise sales prior to the concert, as I had no specified duties on the day of the performance. To assist, other workers who weren't assigned to Autumn Front also sacrificed their day off. What's causing the scarcity? Samantha's voice sounded almost shouting, so I hurried over. What took place? John, it's a catastrophe. Too few glow sticks are available for us to distribute. Mike gestured toward the glow stick boxes that were prepared for the performance. There were, in fact, many fewer than were required. Samantha was furiously using her tablet while wearing a desperate expression. Her face went white. What ought we to do? I got the order quantity wrong. Samantha's remarks created a commotion among us. Just then Autumn Front's leader, Nathan, showed up. I've heard that glow sticks are in short supply. What is happening? I apologize. I made a mistake. I placed an incorrect amount order. Are you aware of what you did? Those were intended to be enjoyed throughout the show with our fans. What's the point if there isn't enough for everyone? I sincerely apologize. Samantha lowered her head, but Nathan was clearly frustrated. I also apologize. I'm to blame for this. I surprised Nathan and Samantha by stepping in and apologizing. We'll make plans to provide glow sticks to all of the concerters today. At the next show, please make use of them. We will need to modify the scheduled glow stick activities. Please be patient with us. I'll help put things right. Nathan crossed his arms and stared at me, but then he sighed deeply and grinned. I can't remain angry if John bows his head. Errors occur. I'm glad you can help me put things right. Feeling relieved that he had agreed to our proposal, I summoned the event crew to the green room at Autumn Front to devise a fresh strategy. The concert was a huge success in spite of the light stick incident. Autumn Front and its supporters departed contented. Finally, late at night, we wrapped up after cleaning the venue. Someone pulled at my sleeve as I was hoisting my bag over my shoulder. I was shown to the rear of the venue by Samantha. She frowned as we came to a stop and approached my face. John, who are you exactly? You were treated like a king or queen by Autumn Front. Yes, at my previous employer, I was in charge of them. But halfway through, Joe took control. Samantha's eyes grew wide with insight. Hold on. I remember now. You are the renowned promoter that made Autumn Front a nationwide phenomenon, John. It's unbelievable that I forgot. Samantha lowered herself and held her head. She looked up at me and sighed deeply. This time, you came to our rescue. I'm grateful. I'll figure out a way to pay you back. It's enough for me to hear you say thank you. That can't be the end of it. Samantha scowled and balled her fists before pirouetting. It's late, Samantha. I'll walk you home. No need. After she firmly rejected me, I was unable to make any further demands. My shoulders drooped. All of the staff members were reunited in the conference room a few days following the show. Mr. Thompson was standing in front like before. Thank you for all of your hard work. Autumn Front's concert was a huge success because of you. We have the contract, and they have also stated that they would like to entrust us with future performances and songwriting. All of this is a result of your efforts. We have therefore scheduled a trip to a hot spring at the end of this month. The business will pay for everything. Naturally, it's acceptable if you are unable or choose not to take part. This is how I express my gratitude. Have fun, please. The workers were thrilled when he made the announcement. Samantha was the only one who didn't appear content. We took a charter bus to a well-known hot spring town in the nearby city at the end of the month. We had the entire inn to ourselves. We won't get into any trouble if we drink and party. Mike gave a cheer. Swimsuits are a must for hot springs. John, you know I'm excited to see Samantha in a bikini. No, I'm not. Oh, hurry up. Don't act foolish. All the guys here are looking forward to seeing Samantha in his bathing costumes. You're not an exception, are you? Mike smiled and placed his hand on my shoulder. I turned my face away in embarrassment, and he was right on. However, Samantha was not present when we assembled in the banquet hall. She claimed to have stayed in her room since she wasn't feeling well. The female employees stared at the male colleagues, who were clearly disappointed. I crept out of the banquet hall when the party was at its height. I went to Samantha's room after purchasing some sugar candies from the gift store. It's John, Samantha. How are you feeling? I brought you some sugar candy. Samantha came when I yelled at the sliding door that was closed. Her eyes gleamed. When she said, "Give me the sugar candies," my heart skipped a beat in excitement. She must be a huge fan of sugar candy. I wished I had given her sugar sweets instead of melons earlier. I looked into her room. A laptop, books, and files were piled on the desk. Were you working? Samantha chewed on the sugar candy, her face hardening. Yes, we got the deal with Autumn Front, and the concert was a huge success. However, the fact that I committed a significant error still stands. Knowing that, I can't enjoy this trip. I saw that the dark circles beneath her eyes had gotten worse. She also appeared to have a light skin. I felt a surge of worry, indignation, and concern. You should avoid overworking yourself, even when you made a mistake. What if you fall even now? I must. To live up to my father's expectations, I have to put in more effort than anyone else. I owe him a great deal and have only brought him down because he took me in, despite the fact that we are not blood relatives. I had never before discovered that Samantha and Mr. Thompson were not connected by blood. After dragging me inside the room, she shut the door. She gestured for me to take a seat on a cushion. Samantha took the pillow across from me when I sat down. My biological parents abandoned me. Their names and faces are unknown to me. I was adopted and reared by my father. I adore him, and he loves me, even if we are not blood relatives. That's why, like you, I started out in the promotion division of First Wrap Productions. Samantha closed her laptop gently after taking a quick look at it. I made a lot of blunders at my first job. However, despite my failures, I had a coworker who never failed to console me. That person turned out to be a spy from another organization, but the coworker never lost their temper and lavished me with attention. They exploited me because they knew I was the president's daughter. I made the stupid decision to provide them my father's private corporate information. It almost put our business in danger of going bankrupt. When their misconduct was revealed, the other company failed, and my father was able to handle the matter. However, the fact that I made such a grave error still stands. Samantha was sitting on a pillow when a tear landed across it. I haven't been able to trust anyone save my father since then. I made a huge error even in the administrative department after being moved from the promotion department. I despise myself for it. Samantha put her hands over her face and started to tremble. I took a step toward her and gave her shoulder a gentle pat. I kept giving her a gentle back rub, not wanting to be rejected. Please look about you, Samantha. I also couldn't trust anyone because of my former employer. But this company has really wonderful people. I can state with certainty that nobody here is trying to mislead others. Samantha, you gave me this place. You have my utmost faith because of this. Please have faith in me as well. Samantha's face was smeared with tears. I smiled reassuringly at her. Samantha, you handled the glow stick shipment promptly after the concert, didn't you? Autumn Front commended the efficiency of the work. Everybody makes errors. You were able to fix yours. I'll be right here with you, and you may do it once again. I'll always be there to assist you up if you trip again. Really? Despite the fact that I'm the type of woman who can fling men around. Of course. Samantha pushed herself into my chest and started crying again. I blushed in surprise. She wept aloud while gripping my clothing. I wanted her to know that I would always be there for her, so I tenderly and firmly hugged her close. Everyone returned to work after taking a day off after the business trip. The vacation seems to have rejuvenated and inspired the staff. Since they specifically asked me to oversee Autumn Front, I was unable to decline their request. As we ate lunch during our break, John commented, "I enjoyed working with you," with a regretful expression. Samantha was at the entryway, surrounded by big boxes and bags, when we ran into her on the way back. John, "Oh, Mike, the time was ideal. Could you assist me with carrying these?" "Of course." Mike smiled and picked up the heaviest of the bags. The next two heaviest boxes I took. "Samantha, I'm happy you can trust me. Continue to depend on me." "Thank you, Mike." I felt a twinge of jealousy as I walked along them. Samantha had been increasingly dependent on other people after the business trip. This was advantageous, but it also increased her popularity. Mike and many other male employees publicly acknowledged how much they enjoyed having her depend on them. Even though I'm competent at my career, I'm a lousy person around women, to the point where Emily betrayed me. Samantha would undoubtedly pick someone who has a deeper understanding of women. Once we had completed transporting her items, Samantha pulled at my sleeve. As before, she escorted me to the storage room. "What's the matter? You appear to be agitated. Was it that obvious?" I turned away, feeling uncomfortable. My heart felt like it would explode as Samantha drew nearer. "I understand. I'm popular with the guys, so you're jealous, right? You are my biggest admirer, so don't worry." "Yes, it's quite an honor to be the first person to join my fan club, isn't it? You own that spot." My heart raced when she winked playfully. "And I'm making a lot of effort. It takes a lot of work to trust people." Samantha put her arms around me and pressed her cheek on my chest. My body stiffened at the sensation of her warmth and tenderness. She must have heard my heart pounding and laughed. "Ha!" Then, full of energy, she withdrew. "My father would want to invite you to dinner, by the way. Will you accompany me?" I nodded without fully comprehending what was going on, and my head felt like it was boiling. "I'm grateful. I'll email the information to you later." Samantha walked lightly out of the storage room. My head was not the only part of my body that felt hot. The cooling process took a long time. Samantha had selected one of the city's most renowned dining establishments. I arrived 30 minutes early, dressed in a suit, and stood anxiously at the door. Mr. Thompson and Samantha pulled up in a very fancy automobile. Samantha's entrance onto the pavement captivated me. She shone like a jewel in a bright green outfit that showed off her shoulders. Behind her, the lights from the structure resembled stage lights. "I apologize for keeping you waiting, John. Should we leave?" I was startled back to reality by her voice, and I hurried after them inside the restaurant. "John, don't worry about the rules. This is a thank you for you." As we sat down and inquired about the wine, Mr. Thompson answered, "Just unwind and enjoy as much as you want." I followed his advice even though I didn't comprehend the menu at all. I want to express my gratitude once more for Samantha's support as well as for the Autumn Front project. "Thank you," he gave Samantha, who was sitting quietly next to him, a kind grin. Regardless of what I stated, this girl has always attempted to do everything by herself. But lately she began to depend on other people. "I assumed you were involved because she talks about you a lot at home." Samantha's face flushed. "Aw." She kicked him under the table, which is likely why the president gave a little yelp. I was a little alarmed. "Funny. You can see that she gets angry easily, but I hope you will still get along with her." A server then showed up and set wine glasses in front of Samantha and myself. I started to call the waiter back after he didn't put one in front of Mr. Thompson, but he gestured me away. "I'll be leaving you here." Samantha's voice went up. "What?" Nor had she been informed. "I want you young folks to relax and enjoy." He walked slowly away from the table. He put a hand on my shoulder and leaned in as he went by behind me. "I've prepared you for this. Take full advantage of it." He gave me a cheeky smile, waved, and walked away as I gaped at him in amazement. The server filled our glasses with wine while we exchanged perplexed glances. Let's indulge in our favorite foods and beverages. Ultimately, my father is footing the bill. I was offered Samantha's glass. I picked up my glass and gave her a gentle clink. She took a drink of her wine and grinned. The meal and wine were fantastic, of course. To say that it was the best supper I had ever had would be an understatement. My nerves slowly subsided, perhaps because it was just the two of us. Our dialogue flowed naturally. It was a tremendously fun experience. Before dessert, Samantha said, "I need to go to the restroom," and got up. She looked stunning with a little flush from the wine, and I couldn't take my eyes off her. Knowing that this amazing moment would soon come to an end made me dread it. I hoped that this moment would never end. My mind continued to race while I waited for Samantha to come back, but she took a while to return. Finally, the dessert showed up. I was worried when I heard Samantha's voice as I made my way to the bathroom hallway. Don't touch me. When I hurried over, I saw a man grabbing Samantha. I was shocked to see that it was my old boss, Joe. I became enraged and yanked Samantha away from him with force. What are you doing? John, hold on. Why are you in this kind of place? That's what I should be asking you. Please don't touch my coworker. After a brief period of recoiling at my glare, Joe sneered at Samantha. So, are you collaborating with Jan? You're sure you can rely on him? This man attempted to steal my work and is a cunning jerk. I was tempted to inform him that he was the one who done that, but I held back. The last thing I wanted was to make a scene here. I tried to flee the scene by saying, "Let's go, Samantha." But Samantha squatted down a little and struck Joe in the stomach with a knee. Joe groaned horribly, gripped his stomach, and fell. John's not that way. Return it. The voice of Samantha echoed. A crowd gathered around the commotion. Joe spat on the floor and gave us a hateful glare. You are a violent woman. This is something you'll regret. Joe stumbled out of the restaurant, holding his stomach. Samantha's dress was ripped at the hem, which I assumed was caused by her knee strike. I gave her my jacket and such clothes. We've got our dessert. Let's consume it. Samantha took a seat and covered herself with my jacket. Samantha appeared discouraged, despite the fact that the dessert was still beautiful despite having been resting for a long. Being the daughter of a president is really not my calling. I'm a vicious woman. Who would want me? Not even you, John. I got up and knelt at her feet without thinking. She gave me a startled expression. I don't care if you're a proper woman or the daughter of a president. Samantha, you are loved. I appreciate how you attempt to rely on other people and how you act quickly. I adore you exactly as you are. Samantha, who had been looking at me incredulously, burst out laughing. What is that? Who disparages the individual to whom they are confessing? Oh, I'm sorry. I apologized right away, but Samantha shook her head politely. Her eyes filled with tears, which she wiped away. John, that really describes you. It brings me great joy. I also adore you exactly as you are. Since you are the most significant person in my life, please treat me as such. Yes, of course. I kissed the back of Samantha's hand after taking it. Everyone around us exploded in applause. I realized all of a sudden that we were still in a restaurant. My face began to flush with shame. Samantha had a crimson face, too. I was working at my computer back at the office when Mike called out to me. Hey, what are you up to? I'm developing a fresh MV idea for Autumn Front. What are your thoughts? Let's see. It appears promising. Really fascinating. Well done, John. I couldn't help but push out my chest a little when Mike approved my concept after reviewing the text on my computer screen. That's when Samantha showed up. Her cheeks were swelling out in frustration. Hey, John, you ought to show your partner these things. Me first, please. All right. I'm really sorry. Samantha took the laptop from me and sat down beside me. She had returned to the promotions department after working in the administrative department. She was now collaborating with me on Autumn Front's promotion. When I noticed the band glistening on her left ring finger, I couldn't help but smile. Partners in life and in work, huh? Mike shrugged his shoulders and remarked, You two look so happy. As though recalling something, he remarked, Oh, by the way, and gave me a little touch on the shoulder. Hey, you know what? I take assuming that Autumn Front signed with us. Thus, they severed their connection with your former employer. Yes, it is correct. Additionally, I've heard that the manager of Autumn Front was let go. He was held accountable for losing a significant client. I couldn't resist saying, What? Joe was in charge of Autumn Front when I departed. Autumn Front had been complaining about the new boss's poor performance for some time, and they wanted the old manager to return, but the corporation never paid attention. That makes sense. They came to us out of the blue for that reason, especially because you were present, John. Samantha smiled brightly at me as she looked up from the laptop. Being so appreciated by Autumn Front made me happy. I suddenly remembered Emily. How did her relationship with Joe turn out? Despite her animosity toward me, she engaged me in the hopes that I would advance in my career. How were they doing now that Joe had been fired? I was abruptly kicked in the shin. I yelled in agony and immediately passed out. What took place? Mike inquired in a worried tone. John, didn't you have another woman on your mind? No, I wasn't. Samantha scowled at me before I could continue, so I dropped to my knees. I had her on my mind. All right. We value honesty, Samantha snorted. You're completely whipped, John. Are you certain you can keep Samantha safe in this way? I groaned both literally and psychologically as Mike teased me. Without a doubt, Samantha was stronger than I. I might want to start going to the gym. After Mike departed during the break, I was using my phone to seek for gym recommendations when Samantha grabbed it. The gym. I'll train you myself, so you don't need to attend one. She put her hands on her hips, closed the browser, and leaned in so that our noses nearly touched. My heart pounded. I'll make you the most attractive and powerful fiancé ever. Her eyes gleamed like stars as she smiled confidently. The competitive environment at my former job made me concentrate over becoming the greatest, but I've discovered that it only wears me out. Appreciating what you already have is more essential than trying to be the greatest at anything. For the corporation, it's the staff. For the artists, it's their fans. And for me, it's Samantha. I promised to do everything in my power to keep my number one safe. I told Dad on you. For a while I didn't understand, but then I realized that Director Mike was standing directly behind Charles, gazing at me fiercely. Mike came up to me in silence and said, "You've been a bother for a long time," in a low voice that only I could hear. "There's nowhere left for you here, even if you stay. You must comprehend what this means if you're intelligent, don't you?" I had a hard time keeping my shaking fists in check. I eagerly submitted my resignation letter, hoping to get out of this organization as quickly as possible after they vanished. "Hey, Charles, don't think your parents or anyone else will always clean up your mess." Charles took the seat that I had occupied and sat back haughtily. "What are you doing here, old man?" It is not open to outsiders. He's still unaware of my present circumstances. It's time for Mike to feel bad about what he and his kid did. Scene is my name. I am 40 years old, unmarried, and share a home with my cherished dog. I work for Panther Japan Corporation, the Japanese division of the international sportswear company Panther. It's been 5 years since I joined the product planning department, and 5 years since I was promoted to chief producer. I've created around 300 things thus far, and not too terrible. Roughly 30% of them have been hits. Things are going great at work, but lately I've been tackling a particular issue. Good morning, everyone. Today, let's slaughter those suckers. The chief of the product planning department, Mike Davis, 55, is the one who sent out this offensive welcome. He is my supervisor right now. I don't get along with Mike, to put it frankly. His smooth words and opportunistic tactics have frequently frustrated me, even though he may not be a nasty person. Monitoring the figures and creating a budget are two of Mike's weaknesses. He also does a terrible job of organizing papers, such as estimates and invoices. Even though Mike's managerial role requires him to give the final permission, he consistently signs off without thoroughly reviewing them. Once, a novice made a number mistake and bypassed my approval request review process, delivering it straight to Mike. Mike authorized it without even looking at the paperwork and sent it to another department, despite the fact that the figures were obviously incorrect. The one thing that irritates me about large companies is the complex and stringent regulations that apply to all financial activities. Although it seems sophisticated, all that's involved are a few of emails and antiquated rubber stamp relays. As chief producer, It is difficult for me to get hold of a crucial document once it has passed the approval pipeline. I was able to obtain the document immediately before it was delivered to the manager of the finance department by following the retrieval request procedure. This isn't technically my work. I gritted my teeth and unwillingly walked up to Mike, not wanting this to happen again. I'll make sure to properly warn the new recruit, so please be careful next time and make sure to open the files. It felt like I was speaking to a kindergartner, but Mike laughed so hard and without regret, it was unbelievable. Don't worry. The next time something comes up, I'll rely on you because you're a capable main producer. You are the department's firefighter in charge of product planning. As he spoke these words, he patted my shoulder. It rendered me mute. Mike strode quickly by me and entered the company's smoking area at the rear entrance. He would probably take half an hour to return. Unfortunately, not many people in the organization are aware of Mike's casual attitude toward his work and his penchant to take unscheduled smoke breaks. Mike is calculating despite his outward characteristics. Most individuals would view him as an affable, amiable, and hilarious department head after just a few days of interaction. That initially tricked me, at least. That is the part of Mike that is tricky. Why then haven't Mike's deeds been made public yet? It's ironic, really, because I've been the one tending to the fires behind the scenes, as he mentioned. However, I do not intend to live up to the incompetent boss's legacy indefinitely. Perhaps this is the moment to persevere. I'll continue for a little while longer. I chat to my cherished puppy every day to let out my frustrations at work. All of a sudden, I would like to present a new employee who will be joining today. Kindly get together immediately following lunch. Mike beckoned the group into the meeting space. Panther Japan Corporation employs about 10,000 people and has branches all over the world. There is a lot of turnover because some employees go overseas and others come from overseas branches. Since hiring in the middle of one's career is normal, introductions are typically informal. But I had a strange feeling today. A great feeling of distrust prevailed. "Charles, you can come in," Mike excitedly announced, and the door to the conference room flew open. The man who casually strolled in had bright brown permed hair, piercings in his nose and right ear, and was probably in his early 30s. Looks don't always tell a whole story, but this was his first day on the job. I was compelled to scowl. The man had on pants, a gaudy gold shoe, and a jacket that barely fit him. Beneath, I knew his wide smile, aquiline nose, and small eyes. Oh, I realized right away. My name is Charles Davis. You work in a terrific location, Dad. You too are a proud Panther employee as of right now. This man's face was exactly like his father's. He was clearly Mike's son. So starting today, he's a member of this department. Hey, Scene, would you please look after Charles? You being in charge will make me feel better. I experienced vertigo. I now had to take care of his son in addition to Mike. Not at all. We're both adults here, so I'll give you the bare minimum of supervision, I reassuringly informed the Davis pair. After a moment of looking displeased in front of everyone, Mike instantly put on his typical phony smile. Let me show you the break room, Charles. Here, drinks are free. Isn't that fantastic? It's almost like a comic cafe, Dad. Panther is certainly giving. Giggling and enjoying themselves immensely, the father and son exited the conference room. With a groan, I began to leave the room. Are you okay, Scene? Maria Johnson, my junior, gave me a worried look. Although she's new to the position and is still getting the hang of it, she's really thoughtful regarding the money flow issue from the other day. I'm really sorry for the trouble. It is not a concern. Since you're new, mistakes are common. Make as many as you can right now, in fact. When I laughed, Maria grinned with relief. I've always held the opinion that individuals in positions of authority should assist others who are less experienced. That does not imply that I will pamper him. A glimmer of optimism flickered in my mind, then vanished. I love New York. It's really fun. The girls are adorable. Loudly, Charles yelled in the office. He was unaware of the sly looks he was receiving from the female staff members around. He started working in our department a month ago. As I predicted, I've been growing busier and busier. Not only do this father and son have identical looks, but they also have similar personalities. Charles hasn't taken his work seriously since joining. Charles should speak decent business English, according to Mike, who told me that he has experience working at an international branch of a big fashion company. Charles reacted angrily when I proposed that he join this week's teleconference with the San Francisco branch, asking, 9:00 p.m. teleconference. That is really insane. I'm not capable of that. It is true that, in order to accommodate their local time, online meetings with the foreign branch frequently begin early in the morning or late at night. Naturally, this time I would merely ask him to sit in while I conducted the conversation. I encouraged him to come learn, but he flatly declined. With little remorse, Charles stated, "After 9:00 p.m. is my reward time for enjoying online games." Like his father, I found his lack of commitment to be extremely disappointing. Charles also had the awful tendency of being late. He stayed in a dorm owned by the corporation when working for a prior employer with its headquarters located in N City, Ibaraki Prefecture. Rumor has it that Charles enjoys an adventurous life in New York. He is said to go out drinking every night with colorful but dubious personalities. Since his first day, it seems like he has become even more showy. When he did appear, he was tinkering with his recently bleached blonde hair. Again, I had too much to drink last night. Instead of going home, they crashed in a comic cafe. He smelled like beer as he drew nearer, but nobody sought to correct him. It seemed like no one in this place wanted anything to do with him. And who was responsible for them? Getting into a relationship with Mike's son has no advantages. Charles, you must become more conscious of your adult responsibilities. You're not exempt from everything just because you're new. It is very bad to be late. Charles frowned at me, suddenly looking upset that I had admonished him. Oh my God, elderly gentleman. Please don't dictate to me. He appeared to be about to lose it. Never before have I seen someone so inebriated. You're a hassle to everyone. Are you unaware of that? Be respectful, please. Perhaps because I maintained my composure, he became even more furious. Stop talking. It irritates me because you're my boss. You always have your eyes on me. You'll remain a chief indefinitely and never get promoted. Horrible. Charles gave me a sneer. Oh, looking at your face makes me feel bad. I'm heading to the smoke. He pivoted and departed from the office. To be honest, I hoped he wouldn't return, but that was obviously not going to occur. Charles reappeared 30 minutes later, strolling idly. He turned and faced me, a victorious smile on his face. I told Dad about you. For a while I didn't understand. But then I realized that Mike was standing directly behind Charles, gazing at me aggressively. Scene, I heard you tried to make Charles work late at night and said some horrible things to him, didn't you? I believe he's talking about the most recent teleconference. Mike had gotten it entirely wrong. With a dramatic shrug, Charles made an exaggerated face. Dad, is the chief producer's behavior acceptable? He wants me to start chatting to foreigners straight away, even though I'm still fresh here. That is extremely difficult. It is blatantly hazing. No, that isn't accurate. All I did was advise Charles to observe in order to learn. I attempted to clarify, but Mike scowled and gave me a chilly look. Scene, are you venting your resentment at not getting promoted on my son? You're my subordinate, but you've always bossed me around. Have you not always thought less of me? However, that is all done now. You are no longer needed by us. The team can function smoothly without you. Leave, you haughty fool. At last, Mike let his actual self be known. Then he moved close to me in silence, whispering, You've been a nuisance for a long time, so only I could hear. You still have time to save face if you step down willingly right now. You no longer have a place here. Astute readers will understand what I mean." That said, Mike went back to his typical phony smile. "I apologize to everyone for the uproar. Let's get back to work now. I'm going to go smoke now." Ignoring myself, I clawed at my shaking fists. Smug-looking Mike and Charles strolled by me. I have zero English language skills. Dad, that was close. Goodbye. I eagerly submitted my resignation letter, hoping to get out of the organization as quickly as possible after they vanished. I woke up the following day as usual. Upon realizing that I was no longer required to attend work, I considered my options. I might go to the coffee shop I saw earlier. It's a little way off the route that leads from my house to the station. An elegant elderly man said, "Welcome," to me. I inhaled deeply as the shop filled with the fragrant aroma of coffee. "Please grab any available seat." I took a seat at the tiny table at the rear, caressed the antique table, and unfolded the leather-bound menu. I considered the signature meals to be spaghetti, Napolitan, and omas. As I turned the page, I discovered traditional sweets like firm custard pudding and cream soda, which added to the cozy atmosphere. My phone rang on the table as I was thinking about how fortunate I was to be in this moment. The number on the screen was strange. Usually, phone companies call me about new plans or insurance sales, but this one started with 090. I scowled. Do I have to respond? It didn't feel good. The ringing eventually stopped, but no sooner had I felt a sense of relief than the same number called once more. The unceasing sequence of ringing, pausing, then ringing again persisted. The following day and the day after that, the calls continued. I returned to that coffee shop one day. The bookshelf with the weekly diaries and publications caught my attention. As I was waiting for my coffee, I took up a copy of Weekly Shun without thinking. I couldn't contain my excitement as I turned the pages and exclaimed. I skimmed the article quickly. Surprise, not in a manner. Upon completion, I was overcome with a feeling of void. I picked up the magazine again and read the piece once more. It said, Panther Japan facing bankruptcy. How in the world did that workplace come to be? Although I couldn't verify the accuracy of the weekly Shunin report, it did provide me with new insight into a previously unknown aspect of Panther Japan Corporation. I sat there in a stupor even after I had finished my coffee. Next, the unidentified number rang once more. Do I respond or should I ignore it? Though I was conflicted, I knew that the calls would not stop if I didn't answer right away. I hit answer on the following call, resigned. Seen? Yes. Who is this? You've been phoning for days on end. It irritates me greatly. Would you kindly stop? My battery is being depleted by you, I stated strongly. There was a momentary quietness on the other side. Seen, do you not know who I am? Your number was given to me by my wife. The voice was recognizable. I searched my mind for a memory. Mr. Mo, that is, the CEO. How was my number obtained by the CEO? Later on, that might be clarified. I was worried about the company's circumstances for the time being. A magazine happened to be read by me. Is everything in order? Over the phone, the CEO sighed. Well, where do I even start? I stood up straight and held my phone firmly. The tension in the office increased after I left, the one who cleaned up Mike's mess most of the time. To start, I managed a collaborative project with a well-known influencer. As more individuals spend time at home, major video sites saw a big surge in the popularity of at-home training content. One influencer in particular was well known for her positive outlook and thorough explanations. She would introduce protein and organic seasonings, and they would sell out in an instant. Upon observing this, my subordinate Maria got in touch with her agency, and they agreed to work together on a sportswear line. But after my sudden departure, the environment at work worsened, and Maria found it difficult to work alone without someone to mentor her or support her in times of need. Maria and the other youthful staff members lost interest in taking on new tasks. Mike would brutally lay all the responsibility on them if they failed. Because of this strategy, Maria and the younger workers looked for other jobs right away. That being said, the partnership project was canceled. We no longer have a producer on staff who can guide the crew and understand the nuances of getting a project from concept to finished product. The CEO spoke in a depressed tone. I had no doubt that the partnership would have been a great success. The sales for this quarter would be greatly impacted by its cancellation. The Cantor Sports Watch came next. Charles made a mess of that. What action did he take? Cantor is a well-known Swiss watchmaker that produces watches of the finest caliber. A recent economic news item emphasized how well the new Cosmo series was selling. Panther Japan and Cantor worked together to develop a high-end sports watch targeted at wealthy consumers. The promotion mostly highlighted high-cost monthly personal gym memberships. The sports watch, which brought together the luxury of Cantor with the tough, sweat, and water-resistant performance of Panther, took off right away. Plans were in place for a second release. However, everything was shelved due to an incident. You do realize that Charles spent every night out partying with sketchy characters, don't you? Yes, essentially. He boasted to them about working for Panther. He made a joke one night when intoxicated by submerging the sports watch in a beer mug. It wasn't just a joke. Cantor saw the pictures of his inebriated antics making the rounds. Placing such a significant object in alcohol was seen by them as a degradation of their handiwork. I buried my face in my hands, which was not surprising, knowing him. But that's just the tip of the iceberg, the CEO went on. The remainder is how it appears in Weekly Shunin. I forcefully gulped. What's wrong with the West Bengal, India, Kolkata sewing factory? Indeed, it is accurate. The SDGs are still not entirely accepted by the fashion sector. Large corporations like Panther, which depend on mass manufacturing and consumption, provide evidence of this. Large sewing factories are usually located in South Asian nations such as Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, India, and Nepal. Yet, regional differences in working conditions are significant. High-poverty areas have long been blamed for having unfavorable labor laws and working conditions. Even when businesses attempt to raise employee pay, regional supervisors or middlemen frequently embezzle the funds. I worked on a project that was overseen by a group of reliable local employees with the goal of establishing a secure work environment. Charles was chosen to be your replacement and took over as project manager. That was everything I needed to understand in one line. But he doesn't speak English and has no experience in this industry, the CEO said gravely. His inability to comprehend technical words hindered his ability to communicate with local staff. Charles eventually gave up. After the project failed, Director Mike proposed going back to the previous setup. The factory collapsed not long afterward. My eyes shifted to the ceiling. I had gone to inspect the sewing plant in Kolkata once. The structure was in awful shape and appeared to be ready to fall at any time. The workers gave me a contemptuous look when I wore a helmet and went into the building. Those eyes will never leave me. That's the reason I began this endeavor. Although our company is not the only one responsible, the public's opinion differs. A large clothing manufacturer working in appalling conditions is a story that the media loves to fabricate and then propagate as fact. I clutched my phone and gazed out the window. I inhaled deeply to help me relax. So, what are you expecting me to do? The CEO begged me to come back to Panther. Yesterday, I would have said no if he had asked, but this time, things were different. The happened at the sewing factory in Kolkata profoundly altered my viewpoint. I made the decision to go back. My first task was to make everything plain. Charles, hello. Charles was slouching in the chair I used to sit in. Hi, old guy. How come you're here? No outsiders are permitted. It seems that he was unaware of my existing circumstances. Dad, I saw this strange guy who used to work here stroll in. Shouldn't we expel him? Charles yelled in Mike's direction. When I heard the reports, my blood began to boil. Are you coming back to us? Not able to obtain employment elsewhere. How pathetic. By what means did you return here? A loud voice cried out from behind me as Mike walked over to me, beaming. The CEO was the one in question. Mike, is there something wrong with that? The COO frowned and asked. It's obvious that Mike wasn't expecting the CEO to arrive. Abruptly, he retreated. Oh, I understand, Mr. President. It was your suggestion. I apologize. Wow, old man, you sure do have some influential connections. Charles made fun of me and gestured toward me. His stupidity had me in fits of rage. Director Mike, I've heard that the second joint production with Kaner and the influencer have been canceled. And I've been told that Maria and the other young workers have all quit. Charles, how about your son? Is he stepping in to fill the voids left by the departing? Well, to that end. Mike was uneasy, as if he was abruptly faced with the reality. Charles, I conducted a little research. Not to mention any prior travel experience, you lack a passport. You were lazily playing video games in comic book shops and dorms before coming here. You were expelled from the dorm and fired for your indolent behavior. Then, didn't you go sobbing to your father? Belittle me. What the hell are you trying to do? No, I'm only expressing the reality. You're not very good at English. Your father made a desperate decision by enrolling you in a 1-week crash course in English. I see why you were unable to communicate at all. You even fabricated your TOEIC rating. Old man, where did you find all that out? Initially defiant, Charles was clearly shaken by the torrent of information. Director Mike, are you acting like a father and forging your son's credentials? Pathetic. He was meant to get experience and eventually work his way up to project manager status, just like Scene, Mr. President. Keep me from laughing. Mike gave a little yelp in response to the CEO's scathing criticism. I closed in on Mike swiftly. Director Mike, are you aware of the harm that this company has suffered as a result of your workaholic attitude and your son's self-centered behavior? No, that wasn't my goal at all. No justifications. Recognize that it extends beyond the business. YouTube has the disaster at the sewing factory in Kolkata. In what way will you atone for this? The public will no longer support Panther in light of these articles. The two of you are a shame to Panther. It's all Dad's fault. It's not my fault. All of a sudden, Charles began to complain and avoid taking responsibility. I was at my breaking point. Don't assume that everybody, including your parents, will always come to your aid. You must accept accountability for your deeds. The absolute minimum for an adult is that. I told you, I'm not to blame. So you want to live your entire life pointing the finger at other people? Pathetic. I feel sorry for you. Nobody will assist you if your dad leaves this company. You'll always be associated with being a worthless daddy's boy. You should probably stay with your playmates. Charles covered his mouth in horror and appeared to have been hit by lightning as I was saying this. I don't intend to give up. Please, Mr. President, I'm prepared to give this company my entire life. I apologize, but your dedication is not needed at this time, the CEO said, dismissing Mike's entreaty with a hint of cynicism. This is not something you can accomplish. I'm getting close to retirement. It's callous to kick me out now. Don't act absurd. After all this laziness, did you really think you could retire with honors? You have delusions. Mike felt for the first time that he had been totally abandoned after hearing those remarks. His face went completely pale, and he appeared completely defeated. I landed the deciding blow here. Why won't you acknowledge it? You two really are a liability and a burden to this firm. The poisonous secondhand smoke you spew lowers the spirits of people around you significantly. You are unintentionally undermining the morale of your esteemed coworkers. You have to understand that this company is tainted by your existence. make over your disgusting appearance and demeanor, and begin your new life as a recent graduate. That knocked Mike and Charles back, causing them to collapse into the wall. I told the COO, "I'll let you know about the disciplinary actions later," and I walked away, leaving the unhappy couple behind. Both were disciplined afterwards. Mike was fired and given a harsh reprimand for fabricating his son's credentials. It was unfortunate because he was about to retire in a few years. He reportedly battled valiantly to maintain his severance money throughout the internal audit, but the ruling stood. Mike had intended to pay off his mortgage and make real estate investments with his sizable severance money. At the age of 55, he was having trouble finding work. It was impossible to find a salary that was close to what he made at Panther. Even a fifth of that was difficult for him to come by, so in order to make ends meet, he had to start working night shifts at a convenience store. Charles received the same criticism for his slack work ethic as his father. The picture of him intoxicated was the last straw, demonstrating his total lack of professionalism. Charles received a 35% wage reduction, a demotion, and a new assignment as a sales clerk at a local store. But he soon gave up on that too, reestablishing contact with the same shadowy figures who had released the inebriated picture, and apparently turning into a hazardous courier. Charles is currently incarcerated as proof, just like his father and son. A boy who lacked any sense of responsibility, and a father who was power-hungry and unmotivated. I was interested to see how these two delusional people would try to earn back my faith. The issue sparked by the weekly Shunin article worried the COO, who made the decision to step down in order to put a stop to the problem. I am largely to blame for what transpired with those two. He had been the head of a large corporation for many years, in spite of public disfavor. He departed the company with the staff giving him a heartfelt send-off and praising him for his accomplishments. We locked eyes for the very last time as he proceeded down the line. He extended his hand to shake hands. "I appreciate you coming back. Going forward, I need you. Will you come visit me in Chiba? Please bring your dog." In return, I gave a quiet greeting. I have an Australian Labradoodle, a unique breed of pet. I met and adopted my dog from Chiba Prefecture, where the CEO's wife is a breeder. I met the CEO before I even started working for the company, since he hosts a get-together for purebred owners a couple times a year at his home. To say that the CEO trusted me with this company would be presumptuous, but Panther is at a pivotal point in its history to aid in reconstruction. I've been contacting dependable past coworkers and extending an invitation to collaborate once more. Maria recently responded to me in a great way. I watched the CEO go, inspired to try again, determined to make a splash.